Now we continue our celebration of Women's Day. Of course, women all across the world today on the Leaderboard series in the aftermath of the International Women's Day last week. Now, our guests on the show today exude beauty, poise, and intelligence, and has over the years, led the charge in empowering young women through her events hub. Now, she was born in Lagos, Nigeria. She was raised here in Ghana. She was schooled at the Wesley Girls High School. We girls, we did here today. She did economics and went to the University of Ghana. She's also an alumnus of the London School of Economics and worked as a headhunter at Richwell Executives London.
Worst in the world ever.
Now she also worked with the XLN Telecom Limited London, London Stock Exchange, London Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNITS, and Standard Chartered Bank here in Ghana.
I don't care.
The image winner of the Miss Ghana pageant back in 2004. Okay, do you remember? Yeah. As Miss Ghana 2004, that's 2004, she worked consistently and consensuously with the Don Bosco Vocational Training Institute in educating and rehabilitating underprivileged children. Now, she secured educational scholarships for several students. In addition, she helped acquire 10-acre land as well as raise funds for the construction of a female hostel for the school. She also worked with the Ministry of Tourism to promote both local and international tourism by initiating concept of the first tourism ambassador back in 2004 and 2005. She's helped the paragliding concept, which is now an annual event at the Kuru Mountains in the Eastern region, and also with the Forestry Commission on reforestation projects, participating in planting 1,000 trees across the country. Her passion for grooming and empowering young ladies led her to acquire the franchise for the Miss Ghana Beauty pageant back in 2011. That's exactly 11 years ago. Under her management, Exclusive Events Ghana Limited, EEGL, produced Ghana's first Miss World Africa title holder and second runner-up at Miss World 2014 event. The EEGL has also introduced the Mr. World Ghana competition to give young Ghanaian men a platform to embrace their lives as well as those of the less privileged. She is the only Ghanaian and African to receive an international award for excellent leadership skills and great academic promise, awarded back in 2001 by Clarkson University in the New York State, USA. Best prefect, okay, apologize. The best prefect of the 2001 year by the Wesley Girls High School, and gold and silver rhinos for the top performer in marketing for XLN Telecom in London. The Don Bosco Vocational Training Institute also honored her with an award of recognition for humanitarian support back in 2005. She's also the member of the board of Foundation Orthopedics and Complex Spine Focus. CEO of Exclusive Events Ghana, Miss Ina Mariam Patti is my guest this morning on the Wiley Leaderboard series. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome her YFM style. Before we get into anything, what kind of memories is this song we're playing in the back bringing back to you?
When I was a contestant for Miss Ghana.
How was the feeling like, back then? I mean, I have close friends who have been in a pageant these days, but then how tough were things? How competitive was the entire competition?
It was very competitive. You had ladies from all walks of life, backgrounds, science students, what have you. I remember there was a particular gay girl in the competition. She was a science student, very intelligent, Yvonne, and our chaperone was a lecturer then at UCC, tough lady, strong woman. We learnt a lot from her. So it was very educative, very highly informative and entertaining. I remember Yvonne is a lawyer now.
Wow.
Yvonne was the life of the party. Yvonne Autry. She ventured a bit into acting as well. But yes, it was great. It was great. And then you had, should I call it, that national support from every Tom, Dick and Harry. I don't think you had people who were deliberately, trying to malign the brand, what have you, for others to survive. But you had that national support. There was pride, and it was a great feeling. Any special, very special, memorable moments from your pageant? Anything you really remember? One thing you can't really clear out of your mind? Well, there were a variety. I remember, I'll give you one downside. I remember I was bitten by a bed bug.
Wow.
But anyway, that was just one of the downsides. But do I even have to say this?
if it's radio friendly, I mean, it's allowed.
Yeah, I mean, it's radio friendly. I remember.
This must be deep.
It was. I don't know whether it would be appropriate to talk about it because you don't want the contestant to feel a bit embarrassed and stuff. But for me, personally, it was exciting. It was interesting. I got to build, friendships that I still have. And I remember... Okay, it's a girl's thing, so no.
We're still celebrating International Women's Week, so I think it's allowed,
This one is a bit too
hold on to
touchy.
it.
I'll ask you often if you say it's okay.
Okay, sure, no problem. So we're going to censor it along the line and see if it qualifies for radio. But Miss Patty, tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Paint us a picture of your home environment while growing up. I mean, some of us saw you ride when you went into the pageant, but before that, we didn't really know much about you. Where were you? Where were you born? I'm told you were born in Nigeria, but how was growing up like for you?
Well, I'm glad you pointed something out that says you didn't know me, because I have to say in a humble way that we were very protected and sheltered, more or less. You go to school, come back, have a siesta. My father would insist it's too hot, you can't go out and play. So you have a siesta for like an hour or two after lunch, then you can play, do your homework, what have you. And we were fortunate or blessed to have been brought up in a very loving, supportive, and principled household.
Yeah.
If people think I'm strict, then you haven't met my parents,
That's where it's
especially my father. Hey. So that's the kind of family I grew up in. And the environment, yes, very nurturing, very supportive. There was that communal spirit. It wasn't just about you and your siblings and your parents, but the neighbors. We're blessed to have great neighbors. They were all involved. So we're like a close-knit family of like 6 extended families. They supported each other, nurtured each other, guided each other. We played together, we studied together, we went to school together, we had dreams, aspirations, and to some extent we've achieved it together. Even though we don't live together, we're still in touch. That's the kind of environment we grew up in, and sometimes it's sad because you feel it's missing today. Today people are very self-centered, very selfish, very self-focused.
The economy.
I mean, but it shouldn't be. We shouldn't be chasing. Wealth isn't just about a monetary value. It's a holistic approach. Your wealth as an individual, your impact on society. It's a rounded, I call it like total package, kind of.
It's not 360.
Exactly. Don't focus on just the material wealth. That there's that human wealth as well. So
I'm learning a lot already, guys.
It's very important. It's very important.
Now, you just told us your family was sort of like a strict type. Things were a bit principled and that. Now, beauty pageants are a thing. People know about it. Walk up to 10 people on the street and 9 out of the 10 will know one beauty pageant or the other. How did you manage to convince your family members that, I would want to get into this? Help us understand that a bit. Did you get the kind of support you deserved or wanted then when you brought up the idea of, I know I'm jumping a few of the hurdles, but I just wanted to find out.
It's a lead question. I would say, first and foremost, like I said, the really strict one was my father. And we're Muslims. My father is Muslim, my mother's Christian. There is no way you're going to convince him or bring up the topic of a beauty pageant because you have to wear a bikini and that's exposing too much Islamically. And so I admired the concept. Watching as a kid, we used to watch Miss World together, and I'd say we're blessed to have a family of beautiful women with purposeful women, because then my older sister, we wanted her to go into it and she was shy. Then my cousin did and she won in 2000. So I'd
your
say
cousin did and won in 2000.
Yes, my cousin is Arefa Hoxton.
Oh, nice. Runs to the family.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I said we're blessed to have beautiful women with purpose. You should see my grandma. Wow. We got it from her. But anyway, so, you had that. And growing up, I love the fact that these were very beautiful. And when you watch Miss World, I remember one of the vocabularies I learned when I was like 11, 12 was renaissance. And I was like, gosh, so ask. Some of them were medical students, some of them were law students, and they were intelligent, yet they were confident enough to strut the world stage. And their purpose was to impact lives. And I thought, I would want to do this. Because growing up, one of the values they instilled in us was being each other's gatekeeper. You didn't have to be related, but once that person is human, be
Look out for
kind.
them.
Absolutely. So we're used to that, and the art of giving, charity. Islamically, you call that sadaqah, but we're used to doing that. So growing up, yes, back to the point, I admired the Miss World contestants, and I admired the Miss Ghana's because they used the platform to impact society. And when I was younger, I remember I had just finished junior high school. That was in 98. And then you had to stay at home for like about 6 months before going on to secondary school. And this cousin of mine who lived at Airport Residential then was like, oh, let's do some charity work. So she remembered that there was a place called Pokey House in Airport Residential area.
I think Andrew will remember.
And it's like a bar.
I was a baby then.
Yeah. And she was like, look at all these people spending money on alcohol. They should give us that money to give to charity.
Yeah.
And so we decided, then we were just in junior high school, that we're going to walk up and talk to these strangers. And her mom said, oh, you're too young, so so her elder brother went with us. And when we went and we told them, oh, we wanted to support the Jolis, the special school, because they needed toiletries and mattresses. And they thought that, oh, look at these young girls. They probably just want money to go and... So they
Buy
were,
candies.
Exactly. So they weren't that supportive, you know. And we even went to Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson listened to us, and they gave us gallons of detergent, what have you. But then I realized, that, okay, if I'm Miss Ghana one day, just like I see on TV,
Yes,
I would have that voice to be able to convince people, because they would take me more serious. So all these, coupled with the, vision of wanting to represent Ghana at the world stage, influenced that. So fast forward to 2004, when a group of young, driven women, Shirley and her best friend Jane, had leased, the franchise for a couple of years. It was their first year. And I thought, okay, haven't been bitten in another pageant. My roommates had convinced me to take part in like Miss Legon, and I'd say it was like a broad daylight robbing me off the title. I had given up on wanting to contest.
We'll probe into that, yes.
Contest,
at some point.
contest. So they convinced me, and another roommate of mine, Gwen, today,
Gwen.
she was, oh, don't do Miss Ghana, do Miss Malika, because nobody's going to rob you off, because I was their favorite, but even though I wasn't articulate enough, they didn't let me win. They let someone else. So she spoke to Theresa. I was interviewed. She sent someone on campus. I was like, no. So she was like, just go and try. So they just pushed me to go and audition. So when I auditioned, I qualified. So I was excited. Then I didn't tell family. So I was excited about it. And then I now told my mum and my sister.
That this has happened.
Exactly. And they said, but you've always wanted to do Miss Ghana. So why Miss Malika? And I said, oh, it's a learning, because I used to be very shy. Gee, introvert. I would get on stage and just
You still
freeze.
have it though.
So a bit of shyness, yeah.
I think it's got better. Yeah.
So so they said, no, you can't, hop around. You need to choose one.
Choose one, yeah.
So reluctantly, and we had to, let Malika go. Okay, I'm no more interested. They were really disappointed.
Wow.
I remember, very much. So they said, when you go for me, what's the guarantee you would win? And I said, I'll give myself a try and chance. And auditions were over for Miss Ghana. I went and interviewed at the office with Shirley, Jane, and the chaperone, and they said, you qualify, we're going to Kumasi, if you're ready you can join us that weekend. That's how it happened. And I still didn't tell my father. It was just
I was trying to get to that.
Just my mother and my sister who supported me. And I remember competing in Kumasi. I'm not in Ashanti. I needed, my chi is awful. In fact, today is a bit better.
It's better.
But then, so guess what? So my speech was on the aged, and my sister, I remember this quotation, Egypt, she says, for my speech, she says, you should say, see, I still remember that. And the audience went crazy, and she taught me. So she had sent a video recording of that, so I was just memorizing that. And then to greet them, everybody was speaking English, but she taught me, if it's past 1 a.m., say, which one? Ajo is night, right?
Ajo is evening, yes.
So if it's in the evening, and Mama Ajo and Mama Che.
Mama Che is in the morning.
Yeah. So I
you did all that?
Hey,
wow.
So I ended up, can you imagine, a Ghana / Northerner going to win
Picking
in
it up
Ashanti?
down there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the winning formula. So back to the youth listening.
Yes.
You need to be prepared. Sometimes you feel you're not well suited for something. Nobody was created to know everything. No. Once you're committed and you're prepared to learn and prepare, the sky is the limit, So that's the story.
Wow.
The rest then eventually they
that one.
would definitely publish it. So now I had to now go and speak to my father. And
So
I
he
said,
didn't find out?
no,
You told him?
I had to tell him before the publication because then there wasn't social media.
Yeah.
There was newspaper. So it'll take time before they publish it. So, and I told him, I auditioned for Miss Ghana and I won. And he was like, but you were wearing, I said, there's no bikini.
There's no
That
bikini.
was it. Like, it was, I wouldn't call it a white lie. There was bikini, but it wasn't bikini. We were, we had like a swimwear segment, but it was like crop tops with like shorts, hot shorts, and then you had an overall. So it was a bit decent, but obviously very un-Islamic. But I had to, tell that. So on the night of the show,
Was
when
just
he
looking out
came,
for
I didn't look at him because I know if I look at him, I would freeze. So all said and done, because eventually when I won, of course, that matter was never broached. And 18 years down the line, just a couple of weeks ago, we were having a family discussion, and he says that he felt that if he had prevented me from doing it, sometimes people have dreams and aspirations, and you never know. So it's good to, give your child that support, that even though sometimes, But at the end of the day, hey, we're just decent women. It just shows that you're confident in your skin and you can strut.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And it brought you here, and I'm sure the family is super proud of you.
Yes, they are.
It's been
Thanks
a wonderful
to them.
journey, yes. Now, let's go back. Let's backtrack a little bit as well. Growing up, before you got into the pageants and all that, you must have had a grand plan about your career. I'm sure beauty pageant, you had a plan beyond beauty pageants.
Absolutely.
What did you want to become?
A lawyer.
A lawyer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to become a lawyer. Everyone who's grown up with me, and even high school, junior high school, senior high school, everyone knew I was going to study to become a lawyer.
Have you misplaced something?
No, for a
Okay.
second it went
blank.
Yeah.
That's fine. It
No,
happens.
that's fine. Yeah. So but you see, life growing up, they say life is best understood in retrospect. When life throws you oranges, make an orange juice, lemons, make a lemonade. So in as much as that dream or desire had been delayed, it's work in progress now. But at the end of the day, the reason for wanting to study law for me was to be a voice for the vulnerable, most vulnerable. And I am doing that in another way.
In another way.
I feel like, okay, if I was a lawyer, right, you can handle one case or two cases at a time. But with what I'm doing, we're impacting lives in two ways. One is we're empowering our young women. And secondly, we're using that empowered woman and platform to be a voice for the voiceless through our various social intervention projects. So that is still, that I'm achieving that dream. But the dream, first of all, of being that human rights lawyer, blah, 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 it's, once we're alive and, we're well,
It can still happen, right?
Absolutely, it will. inshallah.
Once we have life there, we can definitely get it.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about your days at Gay, okay? I'm told you were not the type that would really come out and join anything. Is it by
Absolutely.
any chance true?
When you say not the type to come out and join anything,
Sports, student activism. You just walking. I heard you would show up for your entertainment. You show up because you're supposed to show up.
well, like I just said, I was an introvert.
Yes.
Okay. And when it came to sports, okay, so let's say now I have controlled asthma, but I had very bad asthma to the extent I had to be exempted. So
from
that's
that,
a lot of people don't know, but those who were in my dorm probably close to knew that was why. Because in the beginning I spent a lot of time in the sick bay, so I was exempted. So I could sit and support. So it didn't mean I wanted to.
So for the records, Inner Party didn't exempt herself.
I
She had to be
didn't deliberate-
exempted exactly because of
exactly.
health issues.
Yes. So
I think it's been on people's minds for over 20 years.
how come they didn't ask?
They
See?
never asked.
That's
they were
the
shy.
thing. Oh, come on. I don't bite. So that's one. But when it comes to activism, that I beg to differ.
Yes.
In the sense
States
that...
the facts.
Oh, so, they know. Okay, so in the sense that when it comes to leadership qualities, I think some people are born leaders, others acquire that role. But I think I was born to be a leader. Right from the beginning, I took up a lot of responsibilities. I was in a lot of extracurricular clubs or societies. I was in Guns, I was in Writers, and I think there were 4 different clubs. And when it came to student leadership, I really can't explain exactly what happened, but from a few conversations I've had, apparently when people were being nominated to be like girls prefect and stuff, I was one of those who was shortlisted, but my name was dropped along the line because I was Muslim, and you had to be Methodist.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was handed the role of being a library prefect.
I was a library prefect.
And
Wow.
and in as much as I was a library prefect, I distinguished myself in such a way that when people came in, they probably thought, okay, she was probably a girls prefect, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I did something that the school appreciated till date. I took it upon myself. Then our books were old. I walked up. I was young. Gee, I walked up to EPP Goods, bless him, Mr. Jabril, and I said I was library prefect and I want him to help stock our library, and he did that. Yes.
That's how come you
And
became prefect of the year.
That's just one.
That's just
now,
one.
secondly, I in Gunsa, of all the extracurricular activities I belonged to, with the club Gunsa, I was the president, but with the others, I held other executive positions. And we used to organize outreach programs to Kakundo to get people to volunteer to teach the kids. Because, you know, in some deprived schools, their quality of learning is quite low,
Yeah, it's
and that's
dropped.
why they do not do well when they're writing WASI or BEC. So we got the girls who can, my mates to volunteer. And when it came to being a leader, I felt I was a fair leader, because I remember there was an instance where, you know, you get to organize out excursions, and we're supposed to go out. And sometimes seniors, we feel, okay, we don't need to be a part of this, but when it's enjoyment, we want to be.
We're day inside.
So I remember the secretary had compiled a list for us to go out, and there were like two of my mates who were in it who do not come to meetings. They don't volunteer when we go to Kakundu and other stuff, and yet they wanted to be a part. And I said, no, I'm sorry, you have to drop that name and put in this form one. You know, I forgot. This lady reminded me of this 2 years ago, and she said you did that. I was like, really? I don't keep tab of these things. I only try and do what is right. I'm not perfect, but I try to be fair and right. So, yeah, that's an incidence of that. And a couple of other incidences where I remember once I was on duty and a mate of mine with some juniors were eating in the pantry, and when you're supposed to be in prep. And she expected me to do two things: let her go and just punish the juniors. I said, no, you're both doing the punishment, because you are supposed to lead by example. And if you fail to do that, I'm not going to cover for you. I'm sorry. Oh, a lot of people hated me for that, trust me. But eventually they came to appreciate that I was only trying to be fair. So, I mean, there's so many instances and other stuff that I've done that earned me that right to be prefect of the year, not because, no, I got the books, no. And on top of that, I don't know who nominated me, but I'm sure it's my school that put together a resume of what I had done.
They want an exemplary people.
Exactly. From Form 1 to Form 3. And that's how come I was selected as then the only Ghanaian who got the educational scholarship for Clarkson University for academic promise and leadership qualities. So when it came to academics, I was also good. I was getting prizes. I remember for our results that year, I had the best general arts results. That was 6 A's and 2 B's. So yes, that's me.
Your confidence is impeccable, and I love the fact that it's backed by facts, you know.
Absolutely.
It's heavy. You know, she's heavy on the confidence, and I'm now seeing all the things. You know, then I was a kid, I didn't really see, I didn't really see the deeps in.
I was shy though.
I didn't really see the deeps in the selection process.
And
but I'm
by the
speaking to
way,
you
when
now
it comes to team spirit, I remember it was my mates. I was in A1. They suggested I contest for Miss Nino. They even dressed me up. This one brought this dress. This one. I remember I was looking at past pictures and I saw them.
Do you remember their names?
Hold on.
Okay.
There's Lorraine. There's Mariam Che Ofori. See, Mariam Che Ofori is like the entertainment type. So she was like, no, you're going to wear this dress. And there's Marie, bless her, may her soul rest in peace. Marie passed on, I think, due to lupus. Yeah.
May her soul rest in peace.
Yeah. And Mansa Williams.
Okay.
Olympia, yeah. And so see, I'm not doing bad.
Interesting story here, guys. In case you're just joining, Miss Dinner Party is with us. Miss Ghana 2004. And we have so much to talk about. Now, I'm giving you guys the opportunity to ask your questions as well. 0202222073. Let's get on Twitter right now. Don't forget, it's the Wiley the Ball series powered by MTN Ghana everywhere you go. Cowbang. work together in Chocomo by Casa Preco. So let's move on further in your educational journey. After that, you went to uni.
Yes.
And so where did uni was Legon?
Yes.
Yes.
Legon.
And
University
so,
of Ghana.
Yeah,
Business
University
School.
of Ghana Business.
Now
business
they call
school.
it the business.
The business school.
Yeah. We
Just
call it the
yeah.
University of Ghana Business School.
UGBS.
Exactly.
But no, I think they've done it the business school. No, it's actually you see, people who hate me for this, but the only school in Ghana is the University of Ghana. And so if you see, if we have a business school, it's the business school.
You're right. I agree with that.
Business school.
Naming
So yes, we just move on to that. Don't hate me, guys. I still love you guys. All my KNUST brothers, my UCC brothers, we still date together. Now, after uni, after Legon, I mean, you obviously left Legon a beauty queen.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you moved on to
London School of
London.
Economics.
You
to
went
study
there a
for
star.
Well, if you want to call it that way.
Okay.
But people who know me is I don't like to be tagged like a star.
No, but
I
you were
wanna
known.
be-
You were known when you went in there. I mean, they knew in your application process.
In
They knew.
application, yes,
Yeah.
they did. But I didn't use Miss Ghana to secure that position.
Okay.
I was a first class student. Okay, I mean that's a long story, but Chale, it wasn't easy because I was
you?
juggling that with
Yeah,
running.
yeah.
I mean, reigning as Miss Ghana. But yeah, so for a lot of these top-notch universities, and that's something we need. I'd love the youth to really listen when you're, listening to this. You need to have a balanced life. It's not just about academics.
It's not just books.
You interview people, I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs will tell you, business people, they're suffering in terms of quality of human resources. People have been to university, but they can't think outside the box. They can't think on their feet. Why? Because you didn't choose to have that work, I'll call it academic life balance. Volunteer, be a part of activities. You learn stuff you never learn them in school. So a lot of stuff I achieved, not just not in my academic life, that was one of the edges. Because I remember I have a friend, two of my very good friends, when I missed lectures, they guide me and they also applied, but they didn't get in. We have differences in terms of what we had achieved extracurricularly, but it's very, very important. The spirit of volunteering has disappeared in this country. When you invite people to volunteer, they want to know what is in it for me.
Yeah.
How much are you
What's the
paying me?
offer?
I know. I remember, I was saddened. 2018, I was at the airport and I needed these people to lift some stuff, and they were like, oh, how much are you going to pay me?
Oh, yeah.
And I said, we say we are the most hospitable people, but no, I had just left China that year.
Yeah.
And there were a bunch of students who rushed to help me check in and wanted to speak English with me, and they were tagged, and I was like, oh, where are you from? They explained that, they're studying at a university. This was in Hainan province. They were studying English at the university, and per their studies, they volunteer at the airport to interact with foreigners so they can polish. And after such a kind gesture, naturally, I wanted to tip them, and they refused. They refused. So I offered, I said, okay, can we have coffee? And they agreed. So I sat with them whilst I was waiting to board. We had coffee, and that's when they told me about the fact that they study at this university, they're volunteering, and I took their names and I sent to the university like a recommendation, and I was really impressed. That's what I call the art of being hospitable, not at a price, but from your heart. And growing up, that's what our parents used to say. Visitors will come, and the visitor is king, and you could rather even sleep on the mattress and give your bed to the visitor. But it's like, I don't know what's happening to us. It's like,
I think people
I
are
don't
moving
know.
far away from the values we grew up on.
I don't know.
And
did we even grow up with values sometime? You
Well,
wonder
you
what's...
pick it.
No, I mean, when you look at the crop of people, you wonder, what kind of foundational upbringing did you... Basic. The art of, let's say, being courteous.
Being kind.
How
all that.
Yeah, being respectful to your elder. Even when the person's wrong, you can point it out in a polite way, not be insulting and derogatory, and I don't know.
When you went to London to study, I'm sure you might have had opportunities to work and stay. You did a few. But what brought you back to Ghana? Because then at that point you were a beauty queen, you had earned your stripes here in Ghana, your family was here, you were doing good, you had studied outside, had a job. What about Ghana drew you back here?
I
Or what
loved it
plan?
there, to be honest.
I
I loved it studying in London, and I like to say it's my second home. Sometimes I'm not tempted to say it's the first, but I loved it there. The system, the people. I love being amongst the civilized, But the faith, I'd say destiny, because it's like what my passion is, like I said, impacting lives. You would, if you're living in a developed or really civilized society, what more can you do? A lot has been done.
Yes.
But where you come from,
The system has been fixed.
absolutely. Where you come from, there's a whole lot to do, to be honest, and there still is. So I feel it was destiny, it was divine, because in as much as I try and want to like stay, faith and destiny has a way of bringing me back, you know? And like I said, it's like, okay, this is where my purpose is. This is where I'm supposed to work. And as much as people don't want me to work by maligning and vilifying, but I guess I was built for this. Yeah, it's called that strength of character and grace. So yeah.
So still in London, what did your role as headhunter at the London Stock Exchange entail? What were your activities? How did you cross-cultural, how did your cross-cultural, upbringing influence how you approached your job? So 2 questions: what your job entailed, and how did your background influence the kind of job you did?
Okay, so point of correction.
Okay.
The headhunting was at Richwell Executive.
Richwell, okay.
Okay.
So, thanks for the correction.
Yeah. So at Richwell Executives, in fact, I think that was the first job I got after studying for my master's in accounting and finance.
Okay.
Now, that was the peak of the credit crunch, if you would remember, 2008. So nobody was hiring in investment banking. People were folding up, what have you. And so I got the opportunity to work. Okay, no, that was the second, I think.
That was the
Yes,
second,
yeah, that was
okay.
the second. Excellent was the first. So that was the second. Now, Richwell Executives used to headhunt for investment banks. So that was what drew me to them. I was like, okay, I'm going to work there, network, and then find myself a job in investment banking. But unfortunately, when I was employed, within 2 weeks, they lost their biggest clients. I can't mention names. Yes. And so it's either we're folding up or diversifying. So then my supervisor and management suggested, okay, we're going to headhunt for the legal industry. And so that's how come from finance I ended up focusing. I said, okay, that's my second dream anyway, because I wanted to be, like I said, a lawyer, humanitarian lawyer, but those days people say, oh, it doesn't pay. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be an investment lawyer, make the money, and do my pro bono for human rights. So I thought, okay, the plan, it's still fitting in that bigger plan. Okay, so in life you have to have that big plan. Even when you fall short of it, at least you're within.
Yeah, you're within the
Exactly.
walls of the plan.
Exactly. So Richwell diversified into headhunting for law firm. We did brilliant. Now, my colleagues were focusing on the London market. And I thought, okay, why don't we do Middle East? Because it felt saturated. So I developed the Middle East business, and I focused on IP, intellectual property, like lawyers. And I got us to sign on in London, there's Magic Circle, Silver Circle firms. So I landed our first job in that aspect. But one thing, like you said, cross-culture. I think naturally I'm a driven go-getter. I set objectives. I like winning. Yes, it's okay to fail, listeners. Yes,
but
it's
you
okay.
love winning.
But yes, because I feel that once you put your 110%, and depending what you believe in, I believe in God, and God has ordained it, it's not going to miss you.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, so I took up the Middle East market, and they used to work. I remember Dubai, they work on Saturdays, on Sundays.
Sundays, yeah.
And then Fridays. So I used to go to work like 7 times a week.
Wow.
But I did get my results. But you see, so these are some of the things that I picked working there. It's like, when your values, you're raised in a way that when you're working, you give your ultimate, your best. Even if you're working for somebody or you're working for government and you're giving your best, we will be far developed than we are today. Okay? So here I am working for somebody. I wasn't thinking, what am I going to do on my Saturday and Sunday? That was when Middle East was open.
Yeah.
And I took my boss didn't say come to work, because obviously over time you have to, but I took that initiative to go to work and get the job done, and I got the results. But here, translating it back here, it's like you've got targets. You know that Monday to Friday, you didn't finish your proposal. You have a presentation on Monday.
But Friday ends it
What?
also.
Thank you. Exactly. And then come Monday, you're fumbling at a presentation.
Some don't even pay calls over the weekend.
Thank you. Thank you. But they forget that. When you learn to do it for somebody, like my father says, you're learning to do it for yourself.
yeah.
Because one day, you never know. You might be in a leadership position, or you might be your own boss.
Your own boss.
But if you haven't learned the sacrifice
I love that.
of getting things done, you never will. Like my
that.
father say, you're deceiving yourself. You're deceiving yourself. So yeah. So back to the point, it's those value systems that you're imbibed with or imparted that takes you on this journey of life. You might think, okay, your parents are told, like today, they say, people say, oh, casa do blah, blah, blah. It's just for a
The
short
tree
period.
it's becoming better.
Yes. But once you're out there in that field called life, it's between you yourself and your maker, not your parents.
That makes sense. I love the fact that every part we get to, there's a bit of advice attached to it.
Yes, because
So
you
guys,
said
just
it's
take
for the
notes.
youth.
Yes,
so
yes.
I hope they're
Just
listening.
no, they are listening. They are listening. It is YFM. Take notes of this, guys. And of
Yeah.
course, if you want to
Yeah.
get a playback, if you miss any part of this,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're tuning in now and thinking, what did I miss? YouTube/Y1079FM. Just go subscribe and then turn the notifications on. As soon as we post a video for this, you can actually check it out. Now, while you were in London working and doing all these things, I'm still very heavy on you being a superstar out here. You were a beauty queen. You were popular. Did you ever get to places where it comes up, in meetings and people ask, are you the, people notice that you are the one? Do you ever
Well,
get into moments like that? At any point?
Sometimes, but most of it I don't. Like I said, I like to hide.
Yeah.
I like to be Ina without the tags.
Okay.
Because it's easier. People get to, you realize, I see it a lot. We can be pretentious. And it's sad. That's why I was saying that you're raised to be each other's gatekeeper.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Even if you're that security man at that entrance, if something is wrong, and do right by them. So fast forward, I like to hide. But sometimes, these days, people research a bit into who they're meeting. And then you get there and they go like, oh, I read this about him. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the past life. Let's get on to serious business. But yeah.
Let's get to now. Now, after the years you spent in London, you decided to come back to Ghana, obviously for reasons you just mentioned. When you returned, you worked with SNIT, right? Or you did a different job before SNIT?
In fact, so talking about SNIT, I have always been, the first time I learned the vocabulary precocious, that was
Okay.
when I was studying for SATs. Those days you learn good
Yeah,
vocabulary,
yeah.
And I knew that I was a precocious child. I have, I've never, I'm not saying I miss anything, but I never lived as a life as like, if you're a teenager, you do regular teenage, the way your childhood. No, I have always been
You've been
far
careful,
advanced
You're-
than my age.
You're one step ahead all
Exactly.
the time.
I've accepted. I have an old soul. I was born with an old soul. So you go somewhere, 5-10 years are doing? No, I don't do that. I do what. But anyway, so back to SNIT. In fact, my employment at SNIT was when I had completed secondary school. So back to this art of volunteering, people not wanting to work and they're waiting for hands or tips from uncles and aunties. No. When I completed secondary school, you had to be at home for a year before going to university. And thanks to, like I said, the same family system, support system, the first stint I had working, in fact, was when I was even in JSS. My sister dragged me to this Research International. They used to do a lot of research and they needed volunteers. So can you imagine, one of the first products I worked on was a female condom. I was so shy.
At that age?
I was so shy. They'll demonstrate how to use what
Use
have
it
you.
and all that.
Exactly. But anyway, fast forward. So after that, I finished. I was at home and they were like, oh, you need to get a job somewhere. Then there was an advertisement in the newspapers advertising for H&D holders to be marketing personnel for Standard Chartered Bank.
Wow.
And so I said, I'm not an H&D person, but I can do this.
I can do this.
So I walked to the office at Opebia branch. I met
Wow.
up with the market. She says, you know what? I like your attitude. I'll give you a chance. And guess what? I excelled at it. I did so well that the contract was for 6 months. Unfortunately, they couldn't retain, and then I was home. But that's when the SNIT opportunity came
Also
in.
came
And
up.
even though I knew university was starting in like 4 months, I was like, I'm going to do it. So I applied, I qualified, we're trained, and we're sent to records department. So that's my stint at SNIT. So Standard Chart and all that. Influencer. So I was at SNIT when school had reopened. So I worked for I finished my last 2 months and then I studied full time.
Wow.
Yep.
You've done so much.
Yep.
And I'm very glad we're doing this. I'm also learning myself.
We
Yes.
learn from each other.
You see, the truth is, when you know people from afar, especially people of public interest, you know just what you're privileged to knowing, but you get to a point where you get to find out more.
Yeah.
You go deeper into the person's life. You hear the things they can say, and then a whole new chapter opens in your mind for them. And I'm actually in the process at this moment, and I'm loving it. Now, what would you describe, or which point would you describe as the most challenging point in your career journey? Which one would be very challenging? What moments would you call challenging? How did you rise above it? Is there any?
Like they keep saying, when you're a child, they say it's not easy, it's not easy. You don't understand until you walked it. Nobody said anything would be easy. For my career, yes, I faced certain challenges when I was working at Excellent, when I was working at all those companies. But these were within reason. They were part of the journey. The most difficult one was when I worked here in Ghana, and to be precise, running my own company. When we won the bid to take over organizing Miss Ghana in last quarter 2011, I remember two things I will not forget. One was, I call him Chairman Lai, the previous organizer, Mr. Lai. He prayed with me.
Wow.
And he picked this verse in the Bible that talked about labor of your hands, and I was wondering, why, yes, we like to pray, but I mean, why?
Yeah.
That's point one. Point two, the second scenario was when he was giving his handing over speech, and he says, this task is not for the faint-hearted. And I asked myself, what is so difficult about pursuing your passion that he's saying it's not for the faint-hearted? That man, he's a perfect gentleman, because he never told me what the bumps were until I got in, and I said,
that's what he meant.
So fast forward, our first challenge came when we were under attack. Should I say me personally, because it's always been like a personal attack, and that was in 2014. And you're under attack because you're only trying to do what is right. And you ask, at a point you question yourself, you even think there's something wrong with you, until you bounce it off people in other countries without personalizing it, that, okay, analyze the situation. And then you realize you're right, and then you realize, what's wrong with us as a people? It's really sad. So that's just one. Fast forward, I call it the Alpha and the Omega. That was 2017, when we were under attack again. But this one, the scale or the magnitude is of global proportions. Because if people deliberately malign and you have support from media and BBC Africa picks it, honey, yeah.
I don't want us to dwell on that.
No, I'm just so challenging.
Yes. I don't want us to dwell on that, but a part of my question was rising above it, okay? The 2017 in particular, you just described the magnitude of the damage it did to the brand you had built over the years. When you started hearing bits and bits of what was coming up, what was running through your mind? Because the previous years, you mentioned that you just had to compare what was being done here and then see whether you're doing a good thing or not. But this one was beyond that. Did you feel at some point, okay, maybe this is not the right thing for me to do, maybe I should just fold up? And how did you react to it? Because honestly, up until now, I haven't heard even you speak about it. On this level, So I mean, certain bits of it have to be kept. But how did you react to it then?
I will never forget 17th December 2017. I woke up that morning because I was actually planning on booking a ticket to take a break to London, spend Christmas in London. And I went to bed late. So usually when I go to bed, my phone is on silent. And I wake up and I see 50 missed calls.
15 or 50?
50.
What?
A little over 50 something. And the WhatsApp message, and I was like, what's all this? And then when I tapped into it, I saw out of that 15, over 10 was from Chairman Lai. And I'm like, hey, why is this, calling me? I thought maybe something had happened. And then one from the Miss World office. And I'm like, okay. Then I went into I made up my mind. I just woke up. Come on, I need to have a thing call. Then I went into WhatsApp and I saw, I don't remember whose message. I saw the first one with a screenshot on the article, and I was like, these people must be jokers. Then Mr. Lai now, I said, what is going on? And then it was like a shock. Okay, one, it was a shock. Two, and that's what I'm saying, it's the values. Growing up, my father used to say, You should always try and do what is right and be honest. And that honesty is not you deceiving others, it's you yourself.
Is you being honest with yourself.
Absolutely. So deep within my heart and in my soul, I knew I hadn't done anything. So I was like, hey, what kind of madness, is this? Until I realized that madness is being reiterated or trumpeted by so many people. And that's why at the point you ask yourself, okay, is it that the whole world has gone mad and I'm the only sane person? No, it gets to that point. And then you ask yourself, and then I remember my father used to say growing up, he says, listen, if you're defending the truth and it's you against the world, I remember his famous saying, I don't care. He says, I don't give a damn as to whatever it is between you and your God. So you see, I had those foundations. And like I said, my faith and my relationship with my God, I knew that, okay, calm down, we'll resolve it. But then when people keep repeating every time they can hide without asking,
yes, exactly.
And then you wonder,
that was very fine.
Exactly. No, that wasn't fine, because you ask yourself, is it that there aren't any discerning people in our space? You can't take things hook, line, and sinker and trumpet it. No, who does that? But you see, last year we had we're always having banters, arguments with my house. We call family. We're not lawyers, but we're all pocket lawyers. Everyone thinks they know. So we're having those discussions, and my brother was asking my father that, what's the point in raising kids to do what is right? Yet you move into society and it's the opposite. And coincidentally, I asked my headmistress, the deputy, when I was in Gehi, the assistant headmistress was Mrs. Jokoto. But eventually she took over, and I visited her about 3-4 years ago. And I asked her the same question. I said, in this institution, our motto is live pure, speak true, right, wrong, follow the king. Okay? And you've tried to nurture young women who are supposed to live by those virtues. But when you cross the wall and you're into society, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
And we embrace mediocrity and say, so what's the point? And she says, that is the only way this institution has stood. Because even me, as a headmistress, I go through those challenges. But I fight for what is right, and that's what has protected Gehi. And that's what every headmistress has done. So you can't get tired. You have to keep doing it. She says, all girls come to her all the time. But I'm hoping that we'll come to a time where it'll be the opposite. It'll be the opposite. But that's the situation we are in now. And it's sad. And when you read that thing about the youth, the paragraph I saw that says 61%, and they're worried about their future, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not surprised.
0202222073. Miss Ina Party in the building. And honestly, now if I'm told I need to do a topsy-turvy and pick someone to host this show, I know who I'm going for. I promise you. I'm loving the conversation, every bit of it. I know you're enjoying it as well. Just get on Twitter, the hashtag is Wiley the Board Series.
I hope you are not boring or misprim proper.
At all. Now, so let's find out how important, in your opinion, is it for young men to put in work in preparation to position themselves to, taking up influential roles at their workplace. I mean, this is in relation to what you mentioned earlier. You talked about a few things you think generally people should do, but women, what are some of the important things women should do, plans they should put in place, things they should equip themselves with in order to assume leadership roles in companies and in various fields they find themselves in?
I think it's very important for you to prepare yourself. Okay, it's a women's month, so we're focusing on women, but sometimes men out there, I like to be balanced, but it also applies to you. But the thing is, there's this cliche that says, if you fail to prepare, then
you're prepared to fail.
Absolutely. So I keep telling the people I work with, when it's important to have a vision, have a goal. As a young person, you should know what you want, who you want to be, where you want to go. You might not achieve it, but you might reach 90% of it, and it's good enough. Okay? So once you have couched out who you want to be and you're preparing towards it, when the opportunity comes, you're ready for it. It's like when the student is ready, the teacher would appear. Now, as young women, I think the most important thing is our education, skill set. Not everybody is meant to go to university. People are very good, gifted, their hands, so sharpen it. You could learn via apprenticeship, what have you. But whatever it is, whether it's skilled or unskilled knowledge, master it. Study it, or learn it and do it so well that you excel at it. Okay? Secondly, you need to have mentors to prepare you.
That's true.
And when I say mentors, today, I deal with a lot of women. And when they come to audition for Miss Ghana, and you ask them, who's your mentor? Sometimes I'm sad at the names they mention. And I ask them, what is it about that person? So I'm sure, like I said, I have a lot of haters because I'm sure they'll go out and tell them that Ina said this. And it's like, but that character is questionable. Can't you see? So what is it about that person? Exactly. I'm sorry, but you need to and you see, because of social media, there's a lot of facade, or should I say fake lives.
Exactly.
There's no substance. And it's sad that people can't see beyond, that facade. Okay? So what I'd like to encourage the youth is, don't take things in face value. It's like, I remember once, that's why they say I'm hard. I said to someone, you're mentally lazy. We are mentally lazy. No, because we don't want to think. We don't want to think.
And if you don't think, you can't do much.
And you can't even make the right choices for yourself. That's as basic. Who is your mentor? You want to be, I don't know, let's say you want to be the first female engineer or the first female, whatever it is. Search. It doesn't have to be local. Search for that person.
And you don't have to meet them.
Thank you. Search for that person that you feel has done it. And when you can think, you're discerning enough to know that this is like American PS. This is real or this is fake, because you're discerning and you can see through it. Then you can choose the right mentor to follow. If you tell me somebody is your mentor, and that person, when you read that, you study that person's history or lifestyle, there hasn't been any challenge, that's fake. Absolutely. No great person achieved greatness by just lazying around, and not even lazying around, just sailing, in fact, gliding through life. You glide, there are no bumps. No, then it means it's just packaged. So you need to have a mentor in whatever field, even it whatever it takes. So you need to study, you need to have a mentor, and I said, like, the preparations and the planning, and you're ready for that particular opportunity.
When you set up Exclusive Events Ghana Limited, did you have it in mind generally to just grab Miss Ghana, the franchise, or you had other stuff in mind? You had other plans?
Yes. Okay. So when I relocated to Ghana, one of the things I wanted to do was, to get into corporate finance. Because studying at LSE was tough. Why? Because our financial markets and products aren't sophisticated. We look at our banking system, then what do we have? Basic treasury bills, fixed deposits, what have you. There, they had derivative products. In fact, Charlie, it was not a joke. So I felt that, I wanted to come in here and let's see what we can do about our market. And all the companies, I had interviewed at 5, 6, 8 companies. And on all of them wanted to put me in the marketing department. I felt insulted because God has given me brains.
Yes, beyond
why do you want to put me in marketing? So 2 of them, I was like a bit comfortable. So I asked, and he says, "Oh, you're a pretty lady. You just finished. You did Miss Ghana, so you have connections, so you could, bring in clients." Da 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 da. I said, "Okay." So one in particular, I asked him. I said, "Okay. So when I bring in that client, how much are you going to pay me?" And he says, "Oh, but you're on salary." And I said, No. I've done marketing. I know what it takes. It's tough. When I was Miss Ghana, I did marketing. All the projects I succeeded at, that's called marketing. So if I'm going to do that for you, then you have to be paying me a commission. Otherwise, I'm not. And he says, "No, it's not possible." And I said, "Okay." Then the second one had to do with how I was dressed. Now, anybody who knows me, in fact, I remember I had an interview on another station, and David Osei says something that I didn't know. He says, "I know you from Lagos." I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah, you're always in long shirts and long trousers." And I'm like, okay, decency is my watchword. Yes, once in a while, depending on where, if you're going to the club or the beach, that's different. But you will never catch me indecently dressed. No, you would not. So when I went, I was decently dressed. I had a long dress, like a black knee-length black dress with it's a leopard, not the busy leopard print, like a tiger print jacket. And he says, the second company says, "Oh, but you can't come to work dressed like that." I'm like, "How am I dressed?"
How?
he says, so he pointed out this lady who was in black, like a black bag. I don't like black. But anyway, he
That's
was
my favorite color, though.
black?
Yeah.
No, I like white. White makes my soul. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. So I can count how many cameras I go to. So I remember. Anyway, back to the point. So he pointed out
the
this lady
yeah.
and says you have to dress like that. And she was wearing black, and for me, I didn't say it was. I mean, come on. And I said, So if I'm coming, and I said, but why do I? What? There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. He says, no, you have to be very conservative because when we go for presentation at government institutions, and when we go for the presentation, they'll be looking at you instead of what we're presenting.
Wow.
And I said, so I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to run this marketing for myself. So I decided I'm going to set up my company into PR and marketing. And then, of course, one of the powerful tools of PR is events. So if you realize I'm not really an entertainment person, on our calendar, main event it's just Miss Ghana.
It's Miss Ghana.
But I'm more like into serious, other
on the side,
lighter, yes.
Yeah.
So,
But I'm sure you're obviously breaking the norm and, applying the principles of what made you create this brand to your workers and your system. I'm just, with what you said, I'm just imagining how your working atmosphere will be like. We're not looking at
I'm a tough
you.
cookie.
Yeah, you don't have to wear colors that will make the clients happy. I mean, not that. That's different.
Yeah.
But I mean, to the point where you're told the way you're dressed is going to grab attention from. I mean, especially when you're being decent.
So, in fact, I met the owner of the bank, and he says, I've been waiting for you to start work. What happened? And I told him, he says, well, why didn't you come to me? I said, no, I didn't have to. Because you see, if every time my immediate manager or the mid-management level is going to be frustrating me for A, B, and C, and I have to come and report to you, I won't be given leeway to grow and develop. So, no. So, anyway, so that's how come we ended up setting up exclusive events. And I had been pitching to organize Miss Ghana, but the time wasn't right until 2011. Even then, I think I was the youngest. I was, 27? Yeah.
When you had exclusive,
we set up exclusive in 2009.
Okay.
Yes. But when I took over Miss Ghana, it was 2011.
2011.
And I think it was 27, just turning 27. I was the youngest franchise holder. And yet, I mean, in our first year, we did so well.
Now,
Yeah. 20.
Now, you mentioned one thing that I really pay particular attention to, teamwork. Way back to senior high school when you got into your first pageant and that you had a good team put together things for you. When you set up exclusive events Ghana, how was the process of putting together your teammates or your team members like for you? What did you look out for? What were you looking out for in putting together a team? People who believed in the vision you had. You had the plan alone. You had the vision. You could see where you wanted to go. How did you put these guys together?
It's very difficult. I just said to you, human resource, what did you? But I was looking at people who were so committed that they're willing to do 7 out of 7 with me. What I mean 7 out of meaning 7 days a week with me. Because when you're starting your business, you don't have weekends. You don't have weekends. You have long hours. So I was looking at people who were committed. 1. 2, I was looking at people who appreciate what the Miss Ghana brand stood for and wanted to work, which is beauty with a purpose, not just showbiz. Showbiz is just like minute, maybe 5%, but the core essence of it is hard work, okay, service to mankind, and it wasn't easy. I've made judgments that didn't go as planned in terms of you can never judge or assess people that well, You had people who cut it, others who couldn't. But the beauty of it is, in as much as, like I said, I would crack the whip. And I wouldn't say I'm a slave driver, but yeah, I expect that. One of my weaknesses is being a perfectionist. I like things to be done, yes.
And that's a weakness?
It is, because it took me, in fact, my siblings helped me see that. So I say my brother in particular, he says, Ina, not everybody's like you. So sometimes I need to pause and bring people along. I'm a bad teacher sometimes. They say, because when Ina does, she expects you to get it and run with it. But no, some people can really, really be slow, and you need to bring them along. So you need to look out for all these qualities. And like I said, there's nothing wrong in failing. And there's nothing wrong in whatever you had visioned not materializing. The important thing is not giving up. The important thing is learning from that and rolling. So back to the team, it's been difficult. And I've forgotten which global billionaire I read. He passed a comment. He says it took him more than 20 years to find the right team.
Bezos?
I don't remember. It wasn't Bezos. It wasn't just Bezos. I need to. I'll tell you. And then you
Sure,
say it again.
sure.
But the point I'm making is, I've had teams lost and built and lost and built, and I've had people who've been with me since 2011. But I would say right about now, the guys I have on my team, by grace.
Top.
They are by grace, and we're still looking. You see, it's difficult because you want people coming with the wrong reasons, but we are always adding onto our team, and we're happy to work. And back to the point I said, there's some people who I thought, okay, I'm pushing, and they still want to do mediocracy, so sometimes they can't handle the pressure, and they just vanish. But late last year, Christmas, I sent a broadcast message, and one of them in particular, actually there were two ladies. One of them said, the summary of what she was saying was she really appreciated the time working with us because it's helping her in her, current role. And I thought, okay, I thought I was like they say, the monster. But
You're not the monster.
I know, right?
You're not the tough one. So, I mean, part of the things we do before we do our interviews, we gather, response and info from the people. And I think top of the words that describe you from the people is she's too, to the extreme. They say she's too disciplined.
Yeah.
She's too disciplined. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
But
if
it's
you're time conscious, if you're vision conscious, if you want to stick to the plan and not really veer off. I tell my friends, listen, I'd rather do what is right than lavish with what is good, because what is good can be subjective. It can favor me and not favor the next person. But if we have a grand scheme and we all stick to it, we're doing what is right. That might make you call me too disciplined, but it's fine. It's doable. What has been some of the major setbacks you've encountered since you've handled, apart from the two situations you mentioned? What are some of the major setbacks you faced? Financing never comes up.
Absolutely. Finance.
Let's talk about that.
Finance, it's a Herculean challenge in this country. And whether it's raising sponsorships or you're trying to even raise finance to start your own business. For me, I would say yes, I worked, and I used to, trust me, I remember I used to work like...
I like it when you say trust me.
19 hours. I remember my cousin, the same one, we did the charity project in London. She said to me, at home, Miss Gunn, with excellent marketing, I was doing door-to-door, so I had catchment areas, and she's like, I can't believe you're Miss Gunn and you're ready to do door-to-door and do marketing and get clients. And I said, at the end of the day, I know where I'm going and what I want to achieve. So Miss Gunn was a face. Let's get on to business,
let's get on the ground,
But people get excited, want to just be in that limelight and, But anyway, fast forward. So I'd saved a bit, and then I came in, and I'm grateful for them. I thank God for that, to have supportive family and friends who are willing to give you that financial injection, whether it's even a loan, and it's a soft loan with no interest or very lean interest. That has been a blessing in my life, because otherwise, believe you me, I wouldn't have. And secondly, maybe my finance background helped me a bit. For a very long time, I tried to avoid, when you're injecting debt into your capital structure, you need to have projected cash flow, know that you're definitely earning this to cover your debts. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. So that's one of the things that helped me, because otherwise, by now, I'm sure they would have come down with me with a hammer and wanting to auction whatever collateral we put down and what have you. So financing is a very big problem. When it even comes to sponsorships, the mindset. People think that, it's like lose money. You're giving money for free. But they forget that, for instance, you are getting exposure.
You're adding value to your brand,
Absolutely. But in this country, like I just said, it's the mindset. It's the mindset, and it needs to be worked on. If really, really, we're going to push further or develop further from where we are. It's not just about infrastructure. Infrastructure, we have beautiful infrastructure, but the quality of the human resource. Okay? So finance is another thing. The second thing has to do with your target market and audience.
Okay.
People need to understand that empowered women can be phenomenal driving forces in the development of every nation. Women play a pivotal role in society that, if you do not pause, take a step back to really understand how they function in that ecosystem, I'm not sure you grow as a country.
That's true.
Let me give you a typical example. women will not only be future wives, but they will be future mothers. And if you want to break that cycle, that vicious cycle of having unruly children, of having lazy people, of having people who are just backbiters and no respect, then look down at how they were brought up. You know, growing up in class, you might have people who are unruly. And you're like, why can't people just obey rules? When they say don't do this, you always have those who will break the rules.
Yeah.
But you'll be surprised if you go back to examine their upbringing. You realize that, one, maybe the parents are too busy to give them, or the parents are like that themselves. So there's that vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So he too will grow up, have kids. His kids are misbehaving, and he sees nothing wrong with it. So you have that vicious cycle. Whereas you have a woman who is empowered, who is discerning. She wants to bring out good kids, quality kids, because those children are her legacy. And it makes life easy. Because guess what? Once you're focusing on career, you have some child who is giving you problems that you also have to tend to. No. So all these things have a ripple effect. And if we don't take it serious, I'm sorry. And like I said, I think that's one of the things I'm gifted with, to empower women, provided they'll listen.
Now, in light of what you just said, beautiful submission right there, okay? And on, I mean, let me add this to it, beauty with purpose.
Yeah.
You touched a very important, point, the fact that upbringing plays a key role in how we exist in our settings as adults, especially women. Now, what is your opinion? Okay, well, let me just, in countries like Venezuela, okay, and beauty queens are groomed from childhood, right from when they are young. What's your opinion on beauty pageants for children within our context, like in our space? So you mentioned that, people will have all sort of upbringing, and maybe their parents are like that. Their parents might be negative, and then they naturally just pick elements of their negativity and grow with. Do you think at some point we should super push the whole idea of, let's say, having maybe a Miss Ghana mini, where we can instill all these things that we instill in the adults? There are things maybe we can change about the adults, but I believe as young people we should be able to. Do you think we should maybe bring it to that side and start considering things like that? It's a tricky question. I can break it down if you want.
It is. No, it is.
Yeah,
because many years ago, I didn't have that vision of having that,
And that was you.
Yes, I did. This was like 8 years ago. So my team, they know. But, like you rightly said, it's a tricky area. At that age, what are you looking to portray? If you're going to call it, you see, you need to choose carefully how you want to call it, because that's the point I was making. When you say Miss, people are biased towards a certain mindset. They think it's just entertainment, which is the sad bit. And that's what makes things difficult for us, because I'm like, entertainment for Miss Ghana, even for Miss World, it's just like 5-10%. But the rest of it is on empowering, not just the woman, but impacting society.
The social impact of it.
Exactly. So as a child, if you ask me, I don't think we should do that. What we probably need to do is our educational system.
Okay.
From kindergarten, and that brings me to this lovely lady who's doing well. She was a Miss Ghana contestant 2012. She has a daycare center with school.
Precious Chables.
Exactly. Precious is one of our proud
This is my mate from senior high school.
Precious is really appreciative of the exposure, the training, the soft skills development we gave her, and it's helping her in her line of business. But if you focus on, at that young age, that's like they do in Japan, I think from 0 to 5, please correct me if I'm probably forgotten the age bracket, but if it is indeed 0 to 5, they focus on teaching the kids value system.
Yes.
I watched a documentary on CNN where at that age they teach them how to keep your community clean, basic courtesies.
Yes.
Thank you. So that is what we should be concentrating on. And it means when you take a sample of what is going on now, the quality of teaching, I beg to differ in some aspects. Exactly. So if we focus on developing the teacher, or who is the watcher for the teacher, and teaching them the right way, what to look at, and not just teaching the child A, B, C, D. That's what a lot of times you're teaching them nursery rhymes and stuff. But the values, when they go home, there's no way when they exhibit those values, that parent will not be touched at the corner. Hey, my child learns this, or my child is pointing out this. Let's say take it like courtesy of throwing out rubbish. When we were kids, you can't throw rubbish out in the street. My dad would say, keep it in the car. When you find a bin, you drop it.
You drop it in.
If a child is nurtured that way, and the parent, by mistake, throws something else, believe you me, that child will point out to the the mother and say, "Mommy, you can't do that." A friend of mine, I don't know if this is you can consume this online, but she used the washroom and I think she forgot to flush. And her 5-year-old son said to her, "Mommy, I did flush the tea, but next time remember to do it because it's not nice." I was impressed. He's my godson, by the way. So I'm just saying, so it's the value systems upbringing. So it's not about pageantry and stuff. Even if we're not doing it, governmental, like Ministry of Education, ensuring that private sector needs to do it, because there's not everything government can do.
Yes, that's
if
true.
you say you're going to sit and wait for government, you know, so let's do it ourselves. And that's what being patriotic is all about. You see something wrong and it's wrong, point it out politely. Don't keep quiet and say, like, when was it? A couple of days I was in court and we're getting in the elevator and we're 6. And all 5 had their nose mask. This woman had a nose mask, she had dropped it. So I said, "Madam, can you please put on your nose mask?" And she was probably shocked because nobody has corrected her publicly. But me, I can't keep quiet and I can't give. If I see something when it's wrong, it's wrong.
It's
I'll
wrong.
tell you politely, please, can you do that? Or you see kids, I remember in a public space, and they had put their feet in the chair. We shouldn't have said sorry. Bring it. And then the parent look at them like, "I've been telling you, kind of." Yeah, but that's the communal spirit and communal
Exactly.
upbringing.
We're together.
Be each other's keeper. Because if maybe your kind of child doesn't even know, it inures to all our benefit. No.
I really appreciate all these things you're sharing with us this morning. I must say, I'm really impressed. And my listeners are sending in some very nice messages. We'll get to them in a bit. But straight to focus, how is Miss Ghana 2022 taking shape? What should we expect this year? And how different do you intend things to be?
You know, anytime...
This is serious.
No, anytime I hear people say how different, I say because the essence, the core, the objective I want us to achieve, people still haven't gotten it. So you have to keep hammering.
You keep hammering.
And that's beauty with a purpose. That's transforming lives positively. Those are our themes. Now, in terms of, like I tell people, how we work, what we do, is not going to change. I'm still that headmistress you probably don't want to interact with. Or should I say that gay headmistress that people think. But we will keep doing what is right. And like I told someone the other day, if the whole world or the whole country decides to go mad, my corner will still be straight. So if you're that young woman who, bear in mind, yes, I know it's only 1 winner or 3 winners, who still wants to just benefit from the soft skills training and development, like we demonstrated that people have gone on to succeed, not just because they're winners, but because they were part of the training process. You're welcome to audition and welcome to benefit from the opportunities that we will give you. So in terms of programs we're having on empowering women, giving them the opportunity, whether it's internship, what have you, those days we had educational scholarships, they didn't take it. All those opportunities still rest with us, okay? We are still championing our courses, and you're welcome to, okay? In terms of, so basically that's it. We launched successfully last Thursday, and you missed out. I don't know if you...
I wasn't in town.
Oh, but Chale, it was a beautiful launch because coincidentally, the panelists, like the Deputy Minister of Tourism, Honorable Marco Kwaku, mentioned that, I'm picking his words, he says, Miss Ghana is an ecosystem. And we've all benefited. I was impressed. Apparently, obviously, he unearthed or developed a Chami group.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then he found Kafui Day apparently was a DJ. He worked on Miss Ghana.
Wow.
A lot of the distinguished presenters, you need to visit our YouTube page, Miss Ghana, to watch the documentary we've done. The chairman, how could I have gone there? Yes. He, gave his interview, talked about, they all benefited from Miss Ghana. Miss Ghana unearthed talents in stage development, the arts. It was really the platform that set the tone for the entertainment industry. Dancers, musicians, what have you. So what does it take for us to protect this national pride and heritage that has served 6 decades of our nation?
I have friends whose kids are enrolled at the Witch School. Precious is my mate from senior high school.
Oh, that's
We're
nice.
all from Kumasi, and the representation is beautiful. I was having a conversation with her, I think on Twitter last week, back in senior high school. So Precious was the outgoing type. Precious really loved entertainment. She was a female MC for the school. I was a male MC. We do our thing. There are times we'd rehearse, meet to just read lines and rehearse. And I remember very well our elective maths teacher would always bash us and say we will never have a career in anything. And now Precious doesn't, she says she doesn't have a career. She's building careers for people.
Absolutely.
She's actually built a school. And so we've all, one way or the other, benefited from this great brand. And so we can only support it. Beyond all the things that are happening, I believe what is in courts will be, sorted out at some point. Whatever it is that needs to be done to push this brand, because it's our heritage. We have people, that's the spirit we had back then. I just pray that slowly and gradually we get back into that shape and then realize what is in there. And I mean, I'm saying this on behalf of Inner Party, the brands that are out there. Think about the brand association. If you're sponsoring a project like this, don't think you're throwing away money. There are prospects in there for you. There's value that'll be added to whatever it is that you're pushing. And so wish you the very best on that. But back to your personal life.
You did. I forgot to mention the audition. I talked about the launch, but the audition is on the 2nd of April.
Okay, so we did the launch and then okay.
2nd of April,
Time Palace
Hotel.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just need to visit our website, Miss Ghana, www.missghana.com.gh.
Okay.
Download your application forms. Check out the requirements, what the terms and conditions are.
Rido.
I tell you, and then. With your registration fee of 200 cedis, walk in and let your life be transformed. And I think I've said it on that.
Yes, get your plans right. Get in there. Maybe the next 10 years you'll be in this seat talking about the plans for the next Miss Ghana as well. What do you do for fun if you're not busy? You work long hours. You mentioned you don't have, when you own a brand, you don't think about weekends, you think long hours. In between the long hours, when you're not sleeping, what do you do for fun?
I thought maybe by now someone would have exposed me, but okay, for fun, I love to watch movies.
Okay.
Do you know it's so bad that I can even, when you're supposed to go out and have lunch or dinner, I'll tell you a nice story and rather watch my movies or series. That's how bad. That's one. I love to read. I love to travel when I can afford it. The least chance I have, I'm up and out. I love to explore cultures. I love food. Good food is my first love, to be honest. Good food. So I travel for food. And I like to cook.
Okay.
I used to do a lot of cooking, but these days, Chale, that's why our women need to be supported. I wonder how they do it, because some are married, they have kids, and yet they have to juggle with the career. It's not a joke. So please, our brothers, the men, married men, support your wives. If you don't have the time, get a maid to do it. Pay for a maid to do it. And and I like to dance, by the way.
Okay.
Even though they say I have one
way
way
dance. Are you a good dancer?
I think so. But my friends are like, oh, your dance is like one way, is like salsa.
There's a big stigma we face as tall people. I mean, people tell us we can't dance. And
I try.
So, you have any records on YouTube we can refer to?
Oh, Chale.
Or the old, because if it's the old one,
I used to, Chale, I used to have one on my Instagram page, and I was hacked just last week. I hope I get it back. But I have some. I was at, I don't want to give them that. I was somewhere here. No,
around this side. Inner Party, thank you so much for joining us. But before I let you go, Ghana's youth and young people from all over the world have tuned in today. Beyond all the advice you've given us, what are your final words to all of us?
I would like to humbly advise that the time to lay the foundation, for who you are, who, you're going to be, like I said, what you want to, where you see yourself in the next 10, 20 years down the line, you need to write it down, or mentally, or on paper, whatever, and work towards it. You need to have values, because one of my favorite quotes is from John C. Maxwell, and he says, in life, if you don't believe in something, you fall for everything. And life is a long journey. Once you're blessed to have a lot of years on earth, the challenges would come. The situations that will question your integrity would come. But once you've laid that solid foundation, that this is what I stand for, It is difficult, but in the long run, people would appreciate it for who you are. I remember, look at this, this gentleman, the president for Rwanda. Everyone
Kagame.
thought when he started, oh, the dictator, what have you. Today, look at Rwanda.
He's transforming Rwanda. It's affecting the rest of the continent.
Absolutely. It's difficult in the beginning. It's difficult to even stand for your own values because sometimes you might be in a situation or community where when integrity is staring at them in the face, they are so bankrupt that they can't even identify it. But don't shift your ground. Stand for it. One day, hopefully, God willing, they would appreciate and see that, okay, that's rather the right person with because otherwise there's no hope. So for the youth, I appreciate and share in your difficulties, in your challenges, in your change, but you need to have that element of obstinacy. I'm quite stubborn. When I was taking over Miss Ghana, distinguished people, whether it's in the chieftaincy, leadership, or business, they were like, you're too intelligent for this. But I felt, no, I want us to do this. And so when even certain things were happening, they said, but we told you, you don't deserve that, But stand your ground.
In the face of all that.
Thank you. So for the youth, it's difficult. But have a goal, have a vision, have a purpose, and defend it. And like my father used to say, don't pick a job because it's just for the money. Pick it because you enjoy it. But eventually, it will be rewarding.
It will be rewarding.
So find that thing. It's difficult. And stop wanting to be employees. That's the word. Everybody wants to work for someone. So everybody wants to work for government. I interview a lot of these girls, and everybody wants to
work at the Flagstaff House.
I'm glad now that what government said. Oh, I didn't say I'm glad. The bottom line is they claim,
they can't employ anymore.
They can't even pay because you see, even when you even if you have the mindset of entrepreneur, if per chance you fall into an employee position, you will do better.
Yeah.
And there's a ripple effect in our development. Okay. So please, my dear brothers and sisters, let's want to develop. There's so many opportunities out there, and we've got the brains to think and develop and create. Or you can reach out. We're happy to mentor you.
All right, how do they reach out?
Okay, now I don't have Instagram, so you have to send me an email.
I'm very disappointed because I thought it was your Instagram still. I'm just finding out.
I've been hacked and it looks like a transgender bee who's posing on my...
Thank you so much, Inner Party, for joining us on Wiley the Board this morning. This Inner Party is CEO of Exclusive Events Ghana and Miss Ghana 2004. It's been an interesting conversation. If you want to listen back, kindly log on to www.yfmghana.com. On YouTube, Y107.9 FM. Just search for that, subscribe, and then watch the videos yourself, okay?
This is YFM.